All right, guys, and we're back. I want to talk a little bit about the future of DC films, the future of the DC Extended Universe, and the new DC Universe. If you haven't heard the news, it's official. James Gunn has taken over control of what was the DC Extended Universe. The DC Extended Universe is now gone, and we now have a new label, a new mantle, a new acronym, DCU, DC Universe. So, what this means for us, the Zack Snyder fans, what this means for us, the Man of Steel fans, what this means for us, the David Ayer Suicide Squad fans, Batman vs. Superman, Justice League. What it means for us is that it's over. 100% over. So don't hold your breath, man. The reason for this is because there's a takeover. It's already over. It's been over for a while over at Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is no longer alone in their endeavors with their IPs and their franchises and everything else that they own. They are now controlled and run by Discover. Warner Brothers Discover. That's what they call it. And the WBD is pretty much canceling everything that has to do with the past. Zack Snyder, anything that has to do with David Ayer, anything that has to do with any of their IP that did not reach $1 billion. So that includes Fantastic Beast. They're not even acknowledging it anymore. They're not even acknowledging Man of Steel. They're not even acknowledging Batman vs. Superman. Technically, they're not even acknowledging Justice League. They're just trying to move forward, and I don't understand it. I can't wrap my mind around it. Not one film has been successful as far as reaching $1 billion. The Batman, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, and the Peacemaker series. I'm trying to think of other stuff. I mean, God, it's so frustrating. I'm trying not to be frustrated. I'm trying to just talk it out and just express it. But the CW is owned by another corporation now. They're canceling everything that has to do with DC, and they're moving towards a more mature audience. They said they're gonna, instead of focusing on teenagers and a demographic that kind of counts from like 18 to 30, they're going to right around 27 to like 40 something years old, 45 or something like that. It's a ridiculous demographic. But Stargirl canceled. The Flash canceled before season 10. Season 9 will be the last season for The Flash. It doesn't make any sense. None of it makes sense. I don't understand it. It's frustrating, man. But this is where we're at, man. So, this is for Zack Snyder fans. It's for people like myself that stood in line, man, at Walmart when we heard that Man of Steel was happening. When we heard about Henry Cavill's Superman coming out. We stood in line. We got our ticket. And then we went to the movie theater and we experienced one of the greatest Superman movies ever created. And then we watched Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. And then everything pretty much went to hell, man. We suffered a very tragic loss. And then we had to go through the Marvel version of Justice League. And then we campaigned and we tweeted and we harassed and we did everything that we could possibly do to get Zack Snyder his opportunity. And then we experienced Justice League, and it was amazing, man. And in between, we had crazy, insane movies, man, like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and David Ayer's Suicide Squad. And when you look at how much money all of those made, you can't wrap your head around why they're not allowing this to go forward. But they got what they wanted. They hired James Gunn after Disney fired him, and it turned into a very successful hiring process. I mean, literally, they hired the guy. All of the critics, most of the Marvel fans, they came over, they watched his movie, they watched his TV shows, and they loved it. And then obviously, the Planet of the Apes fans, they came and they watched, the Batman, and they loved it. And then, Wonder Woman continued on, with her franchise, and they loved that too. But there was nothing special about any of them. They were just cookie cutter movies with some very, very strange comedic points inside of them. I don't understand it. I don't understand. I can't wrap my head around it. I don't know why this is what they want, but this is what they want. So from Henry Cavill, this is what he said going forward, right? So if you watched Black Adam is the latest attempt for Warner Brothers Discovery. It's what The Rock's been waiting, 15 plus years to make. You got to see the return of Henry Cavill, man. I was blown away by it, man. In tears, just it was perfect for me, But then we hear this phrase, this joyful Superman, hopeful Superman, nicer Superman, funnier Superman, brighter Superman. Like, we hear these terms being used. We hear this phrase again and again. And no credit to Zack Snyder. No mention of Zack Snyder. And then we get the news from Zack Snyder, directly from Zack Snyder, that says that he was not contacted, has not been contacted by James Gunn. And James Gunn, we hear from him that the first person that he talked to was Matt Reeves. Talking to him about, the Batman, what comes next for the Batman and the Batman universe. You have spin-offs for the Batman, you have Batman 2, you have all sorts of stuff, man. There's tons. They're talking about video games. They're talking about, 3 or 4 different spin-off TV shows, man. They're talking about creating, crime syndicates and all sorts of stuff, man. They're talking about so much stuff that it'll blow your mind. From the Penguin, Catwoman, the Joker. They're talking about all sorts of stuff, man. It goes on and on and on. And then they praise, Matt Reeves. They praise James Gunn. And then Zack Snyder gets nothing again, man. And all we've ever wanted is just for him to be able to finish the concept, finish the idea, and then we'll leave you alone. Justice League 2, figure out what's going on with Darkseid, figure out what's going on with Superman at Darkseid, figure out what's going on with the Justice League, get Ray Fisher back on board, let everyone have a little bit of closure with the Flash before the Flash movie comes out and just takes away everything. That's all we want. But once again, this isn't about us. It's not about the fans. It's about the money. It's about the stockholders. It's about something that's way above our head. And don't get me wrong, in the end, man, none of this stuff matters. The only thing that matters is your family, the birth of your children, the love that you have for your loved ones, taking care of your parents into old age. None of this stuff matters, man. This superhero stuff, man. But man, it was such a special time, It's almost 10 years since Man of Steel. We're coming up on 10 years, dude. No celebration. There wasn't even a Superman Day this year. But they celebrated Batman. They celebrated Wonder Woman. They celebrated Catwoman. They celebrated Harley Quinn. But not one mention of Superman's birthday. It's just crazy, man. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane what's going on. So here's the solution for all this. If you're a Zack Snyder fan, if you're wondering where do you go from here, I say that you tell Warner Brothers Discovery, right? WBD. You tell James Gunn, you tell the CEOs, you tell the presidents, you tell everyone that's working on these new projects how you feel with your money. And that's unsubscribing from HBO Max, unsubscribing from anything that is associated with Warner Brothers Discovery. You're trying to figure out how to play the field and even the field out between them and us. It's by money, man. It's the same, to be honest, it's the same way that, the critics and every other person besides the fans of Zack Snyder and the fans of Man of Steel and the fans of Ben Affleck's Batman, that they showed what they what they liked. They didn't watch Man of Steel. They didn't watch Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. They didn't watch Justice League. They didn't watch Justice League, Josh Whedon's Justice League. They didn't watch the HBO Max, Zack Snyder's Justice League. The only thing that they supported was Wonder Woman 1984, and Aquaman. They didn't even show up again for the Batman. They didn't show up for Suicide Squad. For the Suicide Squad, excuse me. They didn't show up for David Ayer's Suicide Squad either. And they sure didn't show up for Black Adam. But the difference is that the critics showed up as far as watching the movie and reporting on it. And even though it still doesn't make sense, because the critics gave this thing 40% for Black Adam. 40%. The Batman, they gave it a little bit higher rating than, but it still didn't make any money. But for us, if you want to see Superman, Man of Steel 2, Man of Tomorrow, you want to see Zack Snyder's vision for this thing, because they still haven't found a director for it. They haven't found a director for Henry Cavill's Superman, Man of Steel 2. If you want to see that happen, then show them with your money. Don't go watch the movie. That's the only solution I have. Don't watch the movie. Don't buy the toys. Don't support them, Just leave them alone. Continue watching, Man of Steel. Continue watching Justice League. Continue tweeting about, Zack Snyder. That's all I can say. That's the only solution that I have. For me, the last movie that I watched in theaters when it came to DC films with, the DC Extended Universe and now, DC Universe, the last film I watched in theaters was Aquaman. I haven't supported it financially since Aquaman. That's it. That's the last one. And it wasn't like I wanted to just stay away just to stay away. No, I want to make sure that we get an opportunity to see Zack Snyder's creation, man, to finish his ideas. That's it. I want it to come to a complete ending. And it's like, why can't we as the fans pay for this thing? I'm going to talk about this too. I'm going to talk about this too in another podcast, but I'm going to talk about it, guys, because I tell you, man, we're at a point right now where it's like everything just wants to be the same, and none of it's good. If you watch the Marvel Cinematic Universe past Phase 2, it just goes downhill, and it goes downhill fast. We're not talking about, when they spend money, on all the Avengers movies. Those are really good because they spend a lot of money, $500 million on each of them so that it can make, $2 or $3 billion at the box office. But the ones that they used to kind of care about, like Doctor Strange, Thor. Gosh, man, the last 2 Thors were terrible, man. And technically the last three Thors were terrible because, it went dark, and then they threw out one character, never brought her back, and then they brought her back and killed her off. It doesn't make no sense. How dark is that? If it's but it's never mind, man. I'm not even gonna get into that. But all I can say, man, for Henry, man, is that I'm happy he's back. I'm glad he's back. It's been a long time coming. I mean, I think he looks great, inside the suit. He wore, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel suit. No one gave him any flack about that. That's what he wanted to wear. They let him wear it. But just to not have any mention of Zack Snyder, man, and I don't know if it's like, I don't know if they're doing this intentionally. I don't know if they told Henry, if they told, Ben Affleck, if they told, Jason Momoa, all of these guys, they told them, don't mention this guy. We're moving forward. But man, dude, it was just heartbreaking to see, to see that. And then Zack Snyder's on the sidelines. He's over there, doing great things at Netflix. With his new brand new franchise, which I can't wait to see. And we'll talk about that too. But just to see him, he's like, yo, my Superman, congratulations on being back. He's there. He's getting to witness it, but he's from the sidelines. But like, dude, say something. I'm not saying Henry has to come back and just start talking about Zack Snyder. You know what I'm saying? He has to play game. He has to play it, because if not, they're going to get rid of him, of course. But this dude was made for this role. Like literally molded for this role. There's no one else that can play this role. Just like, with Hugh Jackman, just like with Robert Downey Jr., just like with Chris Evans. There's no one else, just like with Chris Hemsworth. There's no one else that can play the role. Same thing with Black Panther and all these other roles, man. There's no one else that can play the role of Superman. No person right now, no actor, no one, none, zero, zilch, nada. Same thing with John Wick, no one. There's no one else in the world that can play it. But man, to not say something about the person that put you on, dude. And I know he said that there's still more to come, obviously there is. He's probably just taking it all in. But man, I tell you, it's frustrating. So that's what I say, man, with your money. Put your money where your mouth is at. All I've been doing is pretty much buying McFarlane toys. That's all I've been doing. Haven't purchased, anything full price with any of the other action figures as far as the Batman. Haven't purchased full price with Black Adam. None of it, man. Just leave it alone. Peacemaker, The Suicide Squad, leave it alone, man. Don't buy the movies. Don't rent the movies. Don't do nothing, man. If this is what you want to do, if you want to see something different happen, you have to show Warner Brothers Discover that this is not what we want. It's not what we want. What we need, man, is we need to finish the idea. There was a really, really great trilogy, man. It was going perfect. All we needed is just that part 2 for Justice League, and then we could have had Man of Steel 2. It would have been perfect, man. But now I feel like they're going to rush it. Then they're talking about finding a director for Justice League part 2, and they haven't even done The Flash yet. It's like they're just jumping the gun, man. No pun intended. They're just jumping it. It's crazy. But, hey, man. There's nothing you can do, man. So, I don't blame Warner Brothers either. It's one of those things, if you can't beat them, join them. And that's exactly what they did. They joined one. And it's never been a whole thing, Marvel versus DC. No. What gets us upset, I'm saying, as a fan base, is like, we don't want to be Marvel. We want to be funny. We don't want to have, so many jokes inside of a movie, you know what I'm saying? We want to feel the power, man, of our superheroes. We want destruction, Our superheroes shouldn't make mistakes, The first fight in the first fight that Superman has, he should literally destroy probably 10,000 square footage of city blocks, man. You know what I'm saying? Like he should be destroying everything, just like he did inside the movie. He should be making mistakes, but he shouldn't make them again. And you can tell the difference between him and Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, and then Zack Snyder's Justice League. You can see it. You can see it. You can see the progression, man. You can see the character development. I don't know, man. And if we're saying that the whole entire reason why this movie failed, Man of Steel failed, is because Zack Snyder doesn't understand Superman, then how is it possible that the Superman that we get now the one that walked out there in the mid-credit, post-credit scene for Black Adam, that's the same Superman that Zack Snyder cast and put him in a suit, and it's the same thing. It's who he is now. He's becoming the person that he's always meant to be, and that's because of Zack Snyder. So anyway, guys, I'm taking up enough of your time, man. I'm out of here, guys. Take it easy, and listen, man. Vote with your money.